Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Lily and I'm a Chinese transracial adoptee. Every Tuesday and Friday, I post videos about my experience as a transracial adoptee. So if that's something you're interested in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's get into the video. Hey friends, welcome back. It's time for a new episode. I'm in summer mode. It is actually the end of May for me, but when you're watching this, it's going to be the beginning of July, which means that it's going to be even hotter here in Texas than it is now. But yeah, it's like 90 degrees. I'm rocking a tank and I am ready to get into this episode. What are we going to be talking about today? Having a Chinese adoptee as a sister. And I think a lot of people are curious about this because many may be the only transracial adoptee in their family. I think a lot of parents are curious about this because once they have one Chinese adoptee, they question if they should adopt another child, so that way the first one isn't growing up completely alone in this white family and maybe they have someone else to connect to. And so I'm not going to tell you if you should do that or not. I'm not going to tell you if I think you should go adopt another child because you want to provide some sort of resource or support for your current transracial adoptee. I'm just going to talk about how life was growing up with a sister who was also a Chinese transracial adoptee. Now, if you have seen any of my previous episodes, then you will know that my sister and I are pretty close. She's been on the channel a few times, and one of our not really inside jokes, but the first thing that we always laugh about and kind of get annoyed about when people look at us is that they assume we're twins. We're not biologically related at all. I don't think we look alike at all. I'm not going to post a picture of her here, but you can definitely go back in the channel and find her episode. We don't look anything alike. I'm 14 months older than her, and we're complete opposites personality-wise. It's hard for me to really answer this question for people because I don't have another sibling to compare the experience to. So, there's not like a biological child of my adoptive parents that I'm like, oh yeah, well, my relationship with them was different than my relationship with my adoptive sister. Like, it's just us two and that's it. And so it's always been extremely normal for me. But the thing is, like, growing up, we didn't have these in-depth discussions about adoption. We didn't have these in-depth discussions about race. And when people would make, comments and do these microaggressions about our family and towards us, like, it was always to the two of us, but it wasn't like after it happened, we were 5, 6 years old, hanging out in each other's bedrooms like, oh my gosh, did you hear what so-and-so said about us? Like, we were kids. That didn't happen. And so, I mean, it was nice having a sister who has gone through it also. We both expressed our feelings about adoption in completely different ways. We were at varying levels of how open we were about it, and we had different ways of just expressing feelings in general. So I know I'm the one with this advocacy YouTube channel and stuff, but she's like a video producer in real life. That is her career. And I'm a scientist. And so I think it's funny how I'm the one who is now on YouTube trying to do these editing and stuff, and she's the one who gave me these mics and my ring light because she was watching my video. She's like, Lily, the production quality of your videos is not that good. And I was like, I know, this is not my job. But she's always been the creative one of the family. And so she would express her feelings that way. I was a ballerina, and so through dance, I could really get my energy out. But yeah, there was never a time when we would just sit down and have these conversations. But I think that's also pretty natural because we were children, and it's not like we had the intellectual capacity and the language to have these really in-depth discussions about adoption and race. Now that we're older, and especially now that I have this channel, my family is more aware that I'm willing to talk about these types of things, because growing up, I was definitely the one who was more silent. I wanted to people please. I wanted everyone to assume that there was nothing going on in my life that wasn't rainbows and unicorns. But I think I wasn't exactly in the fog because I knew that I was lying to people, and I knew that I was hiding a part of myself. And that's kind of a big responsibility, and it was pretty draining. And now that I'm opening up more and talking about things, my sister and I do have more in-depth conversations about it. And it's always pretty random. It's always when one of us just has something on our mind. It's usually like in the middle of the day when I'm at work and I'll get a text. I'm like, oh man, okay, like obviously I have to work, but my sister's also like the most important thing in my life. Like I need to help her out, or maybe I need some help, so I'll text her. But I think it's kind of cool how we can talk about adoption and race as adults now, and also look back on our childhood and talk about these things that happened. And maybe we didn't have the language to talk about it then, but we have the language to talk about it now. But I think one of the most important things that people need to remember, whether you're an adoptee, whether you're an adoptive parent, in the general public considering adoption, is just because I had a Chinese adoptee sister doesn't mean that I didn't need racial mirrors and I didn't need representation. Because yeah, it was nice having a fellow Chinese woman in the family. But we also didn't really know how to own our Asianness. We didn't really know how to own being Chinese. And I really needed that representation in my life. I needed to see Asian people in my community succeeding. I needed to see them having families and living happy, successful lives. And I needed to see them handle racism and microaggressions, because I could only learn so much from my sister. She could only learn so much from me. And if it comes to racism and microaggressions and neither of us know how to deal with it, then neither of us are going to teach the other one about it. That's seriously the most important thing I tell people when they ask me, should I adopt a child of the same race, of the same ethnicity as my adoptive child now? And I just have to remind people that adopting a child does not replace racial mirrors. It doesn't replace the work and the support and the education that you have to learn first and then provide to your children so they can protect themselves in the world, so they can be prepared for the world. Because if people aren't doing any of that work, then you're just going to have a bunch of transracial adoptees not knowing how to handle that they're people of color, not knowing how to handle racism or microaggressions, and you're just expecting these children to teach each other about these things. And it's impossible. That doesn't happen. I mean, I love my adoptive family. You all know it, and you all know that I try not to talk about that aspect as much, just because that is the dominant narrative already, and I want to bring awareness to these other complexities in adoption. But, when I'm talking about growing up as a Chinese adoptee and having a Chinese adoptee as a sister, I have to talk about them. I love my sister. She's my best friend. We're super close. We fight like sisters. We make up like sisters. And I wouldn't ever try to replace her. I wouldn't ever wish that she wasn't in my life. But I think it's just another complexity that having a Chinese adoptee as a sister doesn't just erase all of these problems, and it's not this solution to teaching your child about race, teaching your child about microaggressions and how to be Chinese. Because I was the older sister, I was the older Chinese sister, and I didn't know how to be Chinese. And so, I wasn't going to be any help to her. And now that we're adults, we're owning our identities in different ways, and we're teaching each other these different things. But we're also in our mid-20s. It took that long for us to get to this point. So our sibling relationship, I would say, was very healthy, very normal. We didn't talk about adoption and race because we didn't know how. We didn't have the language. We didn't really feel the need to talk to each other about it. And I think we both knew we were kind of just in this situation where neither of us really knew how to teach the other because we didn't know how to own ourselves. And like, if I want information, I'm not going to go to someone who doesn't know anything about it. No one's going to do that. Again, I can't compare it to having another type of sibling because she's the only sibling I have. She's the best. I love her. And if you've watched the videos with her, I think you'll also agree she's awesome and hilarious. But yeah, it doesn't replace racial mirrors. It doesn't just provide a solution to these complexities with adoption. It's just how our family started, and it's unique. And I know that there are many other families who have similar dynamics as ours and a similar structure as ours. And then there are other families who don't, and Chinese adoptees are wondering, would my life have been better, happier had I had a Chinese adoptee sibling? I don't know. No one knows. No one ever knows if it's a better life, a better situation, because if you don't have something to compare it to before, you can't make that conclusion. There's the scientist in me. So it was nice knowing that I wasn't alone, but at the same time, we weren't really teaching each other things and solving the problems with adoption just because we were two adoptees in the same family. So if you have more questions or comments or anything, you can leave them down below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps me to connect with people and to make sure that I'm providing information that's useful. And I want to make sure that, especially for adoptees who are watching, you're feeling like you're getting something out of my videos or you're not feeling so alone. So thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for 2 videos that are recommended specifically for you that will appear in about 2 seconds on this side, I believe. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next Tuesday.